Hello there, and welcome to Women's Business.
My name is Dr. Mary Ann Shallcross Smith, known to most as Dr. Daycare, and this is my co-host, Amy Vogel. We'd like to welcome you to our mentoring program designed to educate our community on issues facing working women. We will be speaking to our guests in the areas art, sciences, health, education, law, medicine, politics, community service, military, and business.
The goal of the show is to provide information that comes only from personal experience and to pass this information down to our daughters, nieces, neighbors, family, and friends. Much of the content will relate to the guest speaker's journey in their profession, what they have learned most about this process, and what they wished they had known before this journey began. Since women-owned businesses are the fastest growing sector of our economy, my guests will close with what lesson they would like to pass on to the viewing audience.
Thank you for joining us on Women Business. We are honored to welcome Sonia McKinley. She is joining us from KPM Home Improvement. Welcome, Sonia.
Welcome. Thank you, Mary Ann, for having me.
Thank you for coming on to the show. I've known you for a couple of years.
Yes, indeed.
Got to meet you through home improvement.
Yes.
And it's not too often I see women in home improvement, so it's exciting. So when Rebecca was looking for people to come on the show, I go, I have just the woman. You don't see too many women in this field. I have just the woman you can talk to, and she can give you a fantastic perspective of how it is to be involved in home improvement, and also from the homeowner's perspective, what they need to do.
Sure.
I realized you told me, don't worry about vacuuming the rugs, make sure you have this room cleaned up. I'm like, okay, I get that. So tell me a little bit about you.
Well, I grew up in Florida. I was a collegiate athlete.
Wow.
And I finished out my education. I received a BA in marketing and worked for companies such as Nike, the Atlanta Olympic Committee. And when my mom became sick with breast cancer, she wanted to come back home to Rhode Island. She grew up in Narragansett.
Oh, I never knew
and
that.
So I moved up here with her to help her out and my dad. And second week here, went to the gym and met my husband.
What gym was that?
It was Bally's at the time on Newport Avenue.
Absolutely.
And we just hit it right off and just started dating. And he was in a business working for somebody as a production manager. And I became a production planner for a company in Woonsocket.
Wow.
And everything was good, but all of a sudden his company folded.
Okay.
And he needed to go find some work. So he worked for the company above his in construction. And he always heard every day the phone ringing and ringing and ringing, and they were turning down work, and the schedule was so far out. He came home and a light bulb went off with me, and I said, why don't you do this? We can do this together.
And that's where your marketing piece came in.
That's
That was that
exactly.
marketing degree came in, huh?
Yeah, so-
And then you started marketing them.
Yep, I worked for a while, and then we got very busy together. And it was the husband and wife team, and we've been going strong ever since. As a matter of fact, this year we celebrate 15 years in business together.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
That's
thank you.
amazing. Especially a family business, working together sometimes isn't easy.
We always get
Having
that.
a family business,
I
and
know.
so you really got to kind of keep your head up and listen to everyone's perspective. You
Yes.
know, sometimes when you work with people who don't really know you, they'll put up with like, okay, but when you
Yes.
work with family, they know you inside, outside,
Yes.
so upside down. So you really got to like, when you give that, like, what'd you do that for? It's like they know it's like, what did you do that for? Correct?
Exactly.
Then you get to go home and eat dinner with them. So
Yes.
it's like, what did you do that for? So congratulations.
Yeah,
15
thank
years in
you.
the family
50.
business is amazing. Yeah.
Yes, we're going strong and enjoying every moment of it.
So if someone wants to have, let's say, their bathroom remodeled, okay, tell me what they should expect from the contractor as well as what they need to do on their side. So
Okay.
what I mean, if someone's thinking about like what are they getting themselves into? Not using the toilet for 2 or 3 weeks or 2 or 3 months? How does that go?
Well, first, I do all the initial consulting and interviewing of the client. And I try to help them put a room together that's going to make it enjoyable for them, make it beneficial for their home if they're looking to have it resell. And we just start off by just initiating a conversation. And then after that, I start incorporating places for where they can go and shop for finished goods, such as a bathtub, such as shower valves, anything that they might need for that setting. And I send them to particular trades that I've associated myself with in establishing relationships for the past 15 years. And after that, we get together one more time and we start putting the whole proposal together. And then after they do decide to go with us, I set the ground rules, establish a schedule, and basically I just get them prepared. If it is their only bathroom, we try to coordinate it around maybe they have a gym membership.
That's pretty cool.
So they can use, take a shower, go elsewhere. They have family members locally. But we try to be very conscientious as a business to concentrate solely on their job for the 3 or 4 weeks that it might take to be finished.
Do you feel communication's huge too?
Very.
So, I mean, I think there's got to be some type of communication because, and I don't know how you do that, but it's important that the homeowner gets their perspective as well as I call it home improvement contractor gets their perspective. So how do you set up that communication? Is it through text? Is it through email? Is it through
I do a combination. I do a lot of emailing. I do a lot of texting. I like personal one-on-one, so I give them a call on the phone. A couple of weeks prior to the project, I remind them of, we're coming in, we're still on time. Believe it or not, most people always say, wow, you told me you were going to start on June 1st, and you really meant you were going to start on June 1st.
Nice.
So if I am running behind from another job due to weather or so forth, I give them a heads up. And then they just really prepare their home for the initial construction. Things that we like to do is make sure, and we get complimented on this a lot of times, we leave their house as clean as they left it for us.
Wow.
They don't even know sometimes after the demolition that their home or bathroom has been taken apart, because we're very conscientious on not having a mom or a dad come home and laboring over cleaning up dust and debris and so forth. Their kids can't walk down the hall. So we go a little extra mile in making sure that they're comfortable when they come home, especially after they no longer have a bathroom. And then we get right to work the next day, putting the pieces like a puzzle together, initiating the scheduling for a plumber if needed, an electrician, and so forth. And we just really just dive in and get going on the job.
What is not to mention any addresses or anything, but what's one of the worst jobs that you ever did that you turned it around? Anything out there you can think of?
Not really. I think one of the hardest jobs that we had to do is
hardest.
one of our clients had her child, a little one, 1.5 months sooner than we were supposed to be already done with her kitchen.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult for a woman to hand wash her bottles and not have a kitchen after a newborn was brought into the home.
Yeah.
And so that was the most difficult job for us, but we endured and we just, steadfast, kept working on it. I mean, she did have to make some, minor changes to her schedule, but she was, we couldn't control that. But it was hard to work under those conditions. She wants to bring her baby back home, and it's quite not ready.
Not ready. Yeah. Well, he or she was ready to come into the world a little bit early.
A little bit early.
She gave the test of parenthood.
Yes.
I can remember back in the 80s, we decided to put a built-in pool in our yard. And it was probably, we started it in, let's say, February or March, and they broke ground April. Put this big hole in our yard. And I had to beg them to come back the following years. I mean, it was I had to beg them. And of course, you gave your third down, and it's a lot of money back in the 80s for a pool. And the phone calls just started and started and started. What do you tell people who are in that situation? I know this has not happened with you, don't get me wrong, but anyone out there who is watching the show, is there an association you can go to, the Better Business, you know what I'm saying?
Well, I try to be compassionate towards that individual and trying to educate them to say, the buck stops here. I think with our company, you don't have to worry about that.
Yes.
I make it very relaxing, very easy. It's almost flawless, and before you know it, the job is done, and they're looking at a beautiful remodeling. It's very difficult, for folks to go through that.
I'm sure you've heard those stories.
We have heard many stories like that, and it's gut wrenching. And I just try to change their mind and getting really engaged and engrossed in the project. And I think one thing that's really beneficial to our business is I put a women's perspective and a women's point of view on it. I put that compassion, creativity, communication into it, where a lot of people just see a contract, they just show up, and that's it. There's no engaged conversation. I shield my husband. You know, he does the work all day, and I answer all the questions, the calls, and so forth, so he can get a project done in a timely fashion. And we just develop a really strong rapport with our clients, and that's why half the time I don't do a lot of advertising, because our reputation is all in work is all from word of mouth.
Now, is the KPM symbol, is that something you designed with the marketing?
Yes, I did.
You did, wow.
That's my husband's initial for Kenneth Paul McKinley.
I did not know
And,
that. It's great to know, yeah.
Yeah, I did it. We were on vacation together for the first time after we started dating, and I just was sketching something out, and it's been our logo for 15 years.
That's pretty
Very
cool.
proud of it.
Now, if you can go back in your lifetime, is there someone significant in your life that kind of made you a woman in business? Or like, I want to be a woman in business because of this woman in business? Anyone you could think of?
My grandfather had a construction company and built homes in Narragansett. So it was, you know, something I guess that ran in the family, in the bloodlines. But for me to, you know, be successful in business, it comes from my drive and willingness to work. I've worked very hard all of my life and was always determined to do very well. I think that's my competitive nature, being a collegiate athlete. I don't settle for second. I don't give up, and I wanted our business to be successful. And we really enjoy working for ourselves. The quality of life is just very important to us, and we brought our daughter into the world 7 years ago, Kenzie, and we spend a lot of time with her, and we're very grateful to have this opportunity to, you know, nurture her and spend time with her, quality time in the evening.
Absolutely. So how do you balance it all? And then once you figure that out, you can let me go. I haven't figured it out yet. I just wake up and say, okay, I got to get through this day, and let's see if the universe helps me get through this day. So.
Yeah. Well, I think one thing that's helped me is the first 8 years of being in business, I was hands-on with him. Okay. I would carry the 2x4s. I would the tile. I would really get engaged in the project, not just communication and the planning and the scheduling. I love hard work and working hard. And so I really got into the job with him. I was always cleaning up or doing things hands-on with him all day long. And because I learned from him and listening to him and why he would do the things he did, it then prepared me, after having my daughter, to take a step back from the physical aspect and just doing the communicating aspect and the scheduling and the planning. So that way I am able to stay at home with her. Yeah. And when Daddy comes home at 4:30, you know, he's got, you know, a couple of hours of Daddy time with her. And he helps her with her ukulele and other things. And we kind of shut off work for a little bit. And that's it. But I think that being in the field with him for 8 years really prepared me. Yeah. Gave me a lot of insight. And I'm confident in going to an appointment and measuring and knowing what's involved in their repair or their remodel.
So if anyone watching the show is a woman and they want to do this, what advice would you give them to going into this type of business? I mean, here you are measuring on the floor, checking this out, and you learned a lot. It sounds like the hands-on piece of it.
Yes. To go into a business like this is you have to have a lot of commitment, a lot of drive, and a lot of compassion to know that you made a difference and you transformed this room or rooms in a home, and for them to come home just like the TV shows and they're like wowed. That sense that and seeing that gratification on someone's face is really rewarding to us. And we do something different every day, so we don't have a repetitive, you know, nature about our work. We go one day it's this, one day it's that, and you know, sometimes it's, you know, variety of things. But I just love doing that. I love meeting people and meeting families and just making them happy after 3 or 4 weeks of working.
Now, finances is a very important piece of this. So if someone's thinking of doing home improvement, like, is there a set way that the best way to pay for something, or should they get the financing first? What do you suggest to anyone?
Well, that's at the beginning. I sit down with them when we discuss the project. Right. And if there are other trades involved, I then get incorporated their proposals, and I give all of the information, all of the exact contracts to the homeowner, And then from there, I say to them, if it fits into your budget, then we can move forward. There's a lot of things that go into it. There's really not a lot of guesswork because anything can happen at one time. So I try to be as accurate up front so they plan correctly. But at the beginning, I do ask them if they had a budget in mind.
Yes.
Because we've been doing.
Okay, that's a great idea.
We've been doing
Yeah.
so many different rooms, kitchens and bathrooms and windows and doors. If they shoot me a number and I don't really think it's realistic, I'll say to them, we might have to just maybe dive in and get all of the numbers before, so you could see what the realization is in the project's cost.
And I know sometimes people have different tastes in if it was the kitchen cabinets, etc.
Correct.
Compared to, I guess there's all, they call those levels or brands.
Yes.
What do they call those?
Levels of
Levels of
cab.
wood and
Yep.
different things like that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I can speak with them. I meet with them at my cabinet store in Cranston, and we just go over what's beneficial. We just finished doing a kitchen for a 70-year-old woman and her husband. She has had the same kitchen for 45 years, and she might not be in the house for more than 10 more years, but she just wanted something that worked for her. And so she didn't need the best of the best, but a middle of the road was fine, and it's going to get her to the point where she's done living in Warwick and wants to move on, and she'll leave somebody a really nice setting.
Kitchen.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a great 45-year-old kitchen to today. What are some of the things you would suggest to put in a new kitchen? I mean,
flooring is
what's
also
like
very.
a norm? What's like a norm today?
Flooring, we look at flooring, cabinetry, obviously. Lighting is very important.
Lighting, okay, yeah.
They're, the latest, greatest, everyone's into recessed cans, but lighting really impacts the kitchen, working space over the counter. We also try to see if we can incorporate an island, because we find that now families are very busy. They don't have dinner anymore in a formal dining setting, like a dining room setting. They want to stand at the island. It's also a good conversation piece for holidays. And so we try to incorporate and see if, that space would work. And we just, it's a little, every room is different for everyone.
Yeah. So have you ever gone into a home and like this person has these great ideas and you're like, it's just not going to fit?
We have, and that's why measuring is very important, and we try to incorporate, schematics or drawings to kind of show them, this is what's really going to fit in this space better.
How about, you have any hobbies? I'd love to hear a little bit about your athletics there.
Oh, well, I enjoy, I was a collegiate softball athlete. My hobbies right now is just enjoying my daughter. We have a fantastic pool, so we do a lot of swimming. I'm still very active in working out. I'm at the local YMCA in Lincoln, and I just enjoy bike riding with her and just watching her grow up.
Wow,
Yeah.
That's fantastic. So any other ideas that you would suggest to people if they were like putting new windows or something on their house? Is anything they really need to know, like the inches and panes and different things like that?
Right. When it comes to windows in a home, I think the best thing is just to research the manufacturer.
Okay.
There's a lot of different manufacturers out there that have different ratings. There is a code in Rhode Island for low E and argon, and some windows have more, some windows have less. So depending on how you well insulated you want to make your home, it's also good to do some research on the windows themselves.
What would you highly suggest if you were putting windows in your home? Like, what would you suggest? Like
our go-to window right now.
You turn on TV, windows. There's so many different window companies out there.
There
it's
are.
almost like overwhelming. You know what I'm saying?
There are, and a lot of those.
It's like sales.
I know.
What do you suggest to someone who really wants to keep their home, number one, saving heat, a really good window that's probably going to last 20, 30 years?
Right. The biggest thing when it comes down to windows, just like any other project, is having a person on your property that's putting the window in and doing it the same way.
Wow.
I think one of the differences in my company versus some of the bigger companies that are advertising for windows is Ken will be putting the window in every open hole the same way. When you have a team of workers that come onto your property, they might not be following the correct pattern of putting in the window. just like when you're having your roof done and there's 10 men on your roof and you feel like you're being covered with ants, and are they hitting that shingle 5 times with nails, or are they slacking off and only hitting it 4 times? It's always done from the beginning to end by the same person. And that's just one person, and that's my husband. A lot of folks turn to us because they like that quality reassurance. And so we're able to have a better quality control.
Yeah.
The window does play a role. We support Harvey Windows, and we've been using their replacement windows for every year we've been in business. New construction windows, we lean towards Anderson. But I think the biggest thing is having it put in and installed by one person or done correctly.
Now, is there certain types of panes, like 1 pane, 2 panes, 3 panes, or is
There are triple pane windows.
what does that mean?
That means there's 3 layers of glass and added protection for just more energy reassurance. The standard is double pane. I'm currently converting my home from Harvey's double pane into triple pane because I've put a lot of the triple panes in recently in a lot of homes, and people just are amazed at how cool and how warm their house is kept.
Really?
Yes.
Wow, wow.
It's a huge difference.
It does make a difference in your heating bill.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
You know, with another, aspect is making sure your home is properly insulated, your attic to your basement ceiling, your walls. A lot of people are turning to Rise Engineering as a stepping stone to help them incorporate a better insulated home for energy, because our electric bills are only going up, they're not going down.
Tell me a little bit about Rise, actually. I think it's a very good point to bring in if anyone's watching, to bring Rise into the home. And it's free, correct?
That is.
Yeah.
You give them a call and you get on a list, and Rise Engineering will come to your home and do an energy audit. They will bring up several points, maybe an under-insulated attic, under-insulated basement ceiling. They will look at the lights in your home. Are you using just regular energy, standard bulbs, or you're using the LEDs? They give a complete, bulb program. They'll look at your thermostats to make sure they're programmable, because a lot of folks don't realize you turn up your thermostat, you turn down your thermostat, and you keep playing with that all day long. You're raising your cost. You're raising your cost of your energy consumption. So they do wonderful things. A lot of folks never have heard of them, and I would go into their home and say, listen, this is another way you can save. And they get on the list, and they do, with the National Grid, they can really take a big sweep of your home and really improve it. And you really do save a lot of money over time.
Wow. What is one of the most, if all the construction you've done in home improvement, is a room easier than the other, or does it just make a difference, like what room you go in and see and you have to undo or add to it?
I think the most difficult room is the kitchen, because a lot of times the kitchen is built on somebody putting the drawing together, and not everything always fits on paper after you take an old kitchen apart.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of things that are always off. A wall could be slightly out of square or out of plumb, doorways and so forth. But those are the most tedious, I think, also because the homeowner misses their appliances and misses the ability
so it's
to cook.
convenience.
So it's you start hearing the little gripes. Oh, how much longer after, like, maybe 2 weeks or 3 weeks? Because a room of that that size takes a good 3 or 4 weeks to complete, especially if you're involved with flooring. If it's just taking out cabinets and putting in new cabinets, but very rarely, and most folks then refinish their wood floors or have us tile a floor in the kitchen because they just want a new floor coming from a vinyl floor. So, but I mean, we work through it. We've done beautiful kitchens, as you know.
Yeah.
We've done one in your home.
Absolutely.
It's was amazing transformation.
It was an amazing transformation from 1965 to 2016.
Yes.
Amazing transformation.
Yes, it's beautiful.
absolutely.
I'm sure you get a lot of compliments.
I do. I really do. And one thing I like about it is, like the other kitchen I had, I just couldn't move around in
Right.
it. My husband, I just could not fit, and now we have plenty of space just to
Yes.
move around, which is interesting. Take that amount of space and just change it all over.
Right.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It really is. Yeah. How about a certain age of a house? Is it easy to work on? A house is built in the 60s compared to the 30s, or is that just?
The older the home, sometimes the more difficult
Difficult,
because
yeah, I
things,
assume that.
do get out of, alignment for us. I mean, we've worked in 300-year-old homes, and my husband must say he's very proud of it because there was a couple in Cumberland several years ago that just couldn't deal with their squeaky stairs. And they've tried so many different people. They, at the time I had advertised in the Valley Breeze, and she called us, and he knew exactly what to do. They couldn't think us more up
Really?
and down. And we ended up doing other projects in their home. So my husband is very mechanical. He likes to figure things out. And so, not always replacing things might be the answer.
Yeah.
So to help save and help, someone with their budget,
Yeah.
we also tend to do more repair work because things can be saved. If it's not broken, it's just squeaking, we can figure something out like that. And we enjoy it. It's like a challenge to us trying to figure out how to fix something.
But there's always a fix, it sounds like, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So to any of our watching audience, is there anything you would like to leave? Some words and give them some piece of you that you would help them out for going in business in the future as a woman?
Yes, I think that it's very important to have a passion for
cool.
this field. And it's not just, it's about constructing and remodeling, but also building relationships. And I think it's really important to be so passionate that it just shines, and it's very evident that I love what I do every day. And it's always good to have, a compliment, and somebody referring us is probably one of the biggest compliments that they could give me, is to tell their friends about us, because the job that we did for them was lasting, and we left a very strong impression about our work. And I'm, very proud of that. And my saying is, behind every good business or successful business, there's a woman. And I think our business is a, direct testimony to that we are still in business after the recession for 15 years,
Yeah, that's
and we're
big.
still doing
You got
very
through
well.
the recession, that's
we
huge.
did, and we
Yes.
never even had a hiccup. I mean,
Wow.
we were very blessed and very fortunate, but it's our reputation that follows us, and the time that I put in, the extra time to make a project, lasting, and I just love doing what I do.
Well, you can tell because you
Yeah.
smile as you talk about it. We have less than a minute left, but is your daughter out there being in nails too? And is she measuring?
She does come
All
on
right,
estimates
there you
sometime
go.
with
She
us.
comes on estimates. A great
We got
idea.
her a walking stick, so
I
now
think
she's
that's
using that. But
sometimes it's as good as basic beginning of college when you
Yes.
take your child on the job and they get to learn to do that. And one thing about measuring, it's great math skills.
It
and
is.
You never
She
know where
lo-
that's
she
going to go.
loves her math, just like
She'll be
her
able to look at a
daddy.
window and say, I need this type of a
Yes.
shade with just looking at it. If she's out there measuring with mom
Yeah.
and dad, that's pretty good. Thank you so much, Sonia.
oh,
for
you're
being
very
on
welcome, Mary Ann.
Woman's Business. It was a
Thank
great
you.
show.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.